Good
What's up,
evening.
Wally?
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How you guys doing?
Hey,
Good,
Hi.
thank you.
I'm gonna have to get um a picture or something because I don't like the way this camera be showing me. It's just
we're live.
yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm just letting you guys know. I don't like the way my my camera on my laptop be doing me, so
Oh,
I gotta make some adjustments.
oh, you look great.
Thank
And
you. God
now
bless
you
you.
know what? When you put the even if you have a picture up, when you turn off your camera, it's not going to show you at all on the live.
Yeah, when if I have the picture as my like what the general is doing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Or I'm just going to have to get like a external camera because like I really don't like the way this camera Hewlett Packard be doing me on this laptop. So I'm gonna, y'all look amazing. I don't know. Maybe I got to upgrade my camera or something. I don't know.
I understand. Well, thank you, everyone. You get to hear that was our pre-show warm up. So we thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We really enjoy meeting you on Tuesdays, and we hope that we can get some continued engagement. Our topic today is about our substitute teachers and strategies, stories, and what is it? Strategies, stories, and success or any types of topics. I know sometimes, there's a lot of controversy in regards to how we're supporting substitutes, substitutes becoming licensed teachers, what's happening in the classroom. So we're going to touch into all of that today. Again, my name is Kamilah Bywaters. I'm running for the Board of School Trustees for District E. And I am so ready. It's January. So these campaigns are about to be kicking it up. I'm getting ready for the parade. Shaquilla's going to be out there with me, my family, even if it's just us, us and the kids, we're going to be out there walking and celebrating with everyone. And the MLK parade is like, it's a big family reunion. So I look forward to being out there with everyone and celebrating the day. And I'm going to let our wonderful co-host go ahead and introduce himself.
You're very kind. First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. Hey, it's 2024. Can you believe that? I'm still grappling with it because that means I'm also older. And since I'm one of those people who was born in the 60s, for this to be 2024, it's, well, we'll just say we're just going to call it remarkable. How about that? So, welcome to the show tonight. As we start this new year, it is an election year. And one of the most important offices is your local school board trustee, because it's the people who deal with our children. And here in the CCSD, the Clark County School District, we have some issues. One of the things as we were doing the warm up is I was talking to Sister Kamilah and asking, well, if we have so many substitute teachers and they get paid less than licensed teachers, where's all the money going that would have normally paid for those licensed teachers? And I have some other questions, and I hope you all do. So, for those of you who are listening on Facebook, please put your questions and or comments in the Facebook, and we will see which ones we can air here and possibly give you an answer or respond. And of course, for those of you who are here on Zoom with us, get those fingers typing and let us know what your thoughts are. As we are in this new year, that means it is less than a year before the elections. Less than a year. The countdown is on. Are you ready? Well, if you don't know about school board trustees, you have a school board trustee that you can hear about and talk to live right here. That's in Miss Kamilah Bywaters. Kamilah?
Yes, soon to be. Let's win. I am so ready to win District E. It is, I go to bed thinking about it. Like, what are we going to do? But I want to make sure that we go over some announcements. I know there's a lot of great things happening in the community. I don't have everything, but I know there's one thing that's particularly important that I want to talk about. And then I definitely want you to talk about the gathering and anything else that we know about. If you want to Facebook us or Facebook us in the chat and let us know something's going on, let us know so that we can support each other, and be in community with each other. I think that is really important as we're going into this new year. But I did want to shout out Aisha Goins. She did a wonderful job of putting together the ETA Empowerment Through Action Candidate Boot Camp. It was fabulous. It was for Black candidates interested in running for an office. And she did a great job of just providing some training for us and giving candidates an opportunity to ask questions that they wanted to ask and to be in a place of learning. So I really appreciate her for having that vision. She did have some partners. So NAACP President Quentin, thank you for supporting that. And also was in partnership with the Merge and SEIU. It was a great opportunity for us to really learn from these individuals who are doing some great work in the community. Their organizations are doing phenomenal. And I wanted to shout out my sister from the ETA Bootcamp, Ray Kennedy. Ray Kennedy is running for the Las Vegas Municipal Court Judge in Department 5. And she officially put her name on the ballot today. So she will be officially on the ballot. That's Ray Kennedy. You can look her up and follow her, start to engage with her. And hey, 2024, this is an important year. Let's get out here. Let's get to know these candidates. And I'm talking about really getting to know the candidates who are running for different offices. For me, it is absolutely important that we know how the people who are going to represent us, how they think. How do they think about important topics? Are they personable? Are they people who are willing to this is a big thing for me. Do they care about the one person that has an issue? Because oftentimes, I don't know about you, but there's been experience for me when I've had an issue. And because it wasn't like 20, 30, 100 people who didn't have the issue, it wasn't that big of a deal. So for me, that is very important that people who are running for office, they don't only care that, you care about the group, the large masses of people who are having a problem, but also that one individual who's having a problem that may be very unique than what others are experiencing. So I just wanted to do that shout out, and that was my announcement. Do you have any announcements, Rodney?
Well, actually, we do. On January 5th, which is this Friday, at the gathering, which meets scheduled to meet from 12 to 2, but usually it goes on longer if people are still talking. But this coming Friday at the gathering, we're going to have a Democratic presidential nominee attending the gathering. Many of you may know her. She's a quite famous author, and she did run for president in 2020. Marianne Williamson will be attending the gathering this coming Friday from, the gathering is from 12 to 2, and she'll be there doing a portion of that. Also have another announcement on the 26th of this month, 26th of January, we're going to be a part of a documentary on the gathering to this. Well, it's not about the gathering, but the gathering is being included in the topic of the documentary, which is open primaries. So the last Friday of the month, hopefully you all can come out to the gathering for that. The gathering is at WSO, Westside Oasis, and it's at 808 West Lake Mead Boulevard. So this coming Friday, we're going to have a presidential candidate, and she's going to give us quite a bit of time. And then on the 26th, there's going to be a documentary. But also, we're busy this month. For the last 16 or 17 years, I've lost count, unfortunately. We do the annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Candlelight Vigil, and that's going to be the 13th of this month. It'll probably be around 4:30 at the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. statue on the corner of MLK Boulevard and Cary Avenue. MLK Boulevard and Cary Avenue at 4:30 on January 13th. Okay. And we're going to give out food during that candlelight vigil. And so what I'm doing is anyone who would like to speak, this is going to take it back to its roots where I will get things set up, but this is open to anyone who would like to speak. We'll give you 2 minutes. If you can notify me in advance, if you let me know at the event, we'll give you the microphone for 1 minute. but please get with me. And if you know someone that you think should be out there that you want to hear, spread the word, because this is all about the community. This is the community putting on a free event for the community.
Awesome. See, this is why I love announcements, because I'm sitting here just taking notes like, okay, great, perfect. I didn't know about that. Awesome. Let me put that in. So I love announcements. I'm going to make sure that we try to remember that each time. Shaquilla, you had something you wanted to say?
Yes, ma'am. Going to what Ronnie was saying about the candlelight vigil and opening up to everyone, anyone. Please make sure you come with a positive and relevant message, that you're respectful, and keep it to 2 minutes. If you're not one of the main people, because there will be a lot of people, and we want to be respectful of everybody's time, um, and just of others who are there.
Okay, thank
Awesome.
you. So I think
Listen,
that's about it for me.
yeah, that's good. And I love that. I love that relevant, knowing how to read the audience. When your time, stick with your minute. That's why I love going to school board meetings, because if you don't stick with your minute, they're going to cut you off. So I've really like mastered the art of 2 or 3 minutes. And people, listen, some people, I'm like, why are they not reading the room right now with this speech that is going overboard? Now, apparently, my family tells me I don't know how to read the room. They're like, that was too long. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you. But anywho, yes, you are so right, Shaquilla. The general?
Yes, we left off NAN. NAN is having their monthly meeting. It was postponed due to January the 1st, New Year's. So it's going to be January the 8th at Nevada Partners at 690 West Lake Mead at Nevada Partners. And we're welcoming everyone to come on out and find out what's going on.
Awesome. Yes. Yes, we can't forget about NAN meeting. I definitely will be there. And I'm looking, so just so you all know, like I do look to my right a little bit because I'm managing the computer and I'm not ignoring anybody. And Elizabeth was like, where can I send you a donation? So I was like, wait, what? Let me type this information here. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining our conversation today. We look forward to your insight. Yeah, so let's get started into our conversation. I do want to have a disclaimer. One thing I first want to say, as always, I think that education can be a very controversial topic, and I want to make sure that we express our love and gratitude for our substitutes, our guest teachers who are out there filling in major gaps. Okay, there's not even enough subs to even go around. I'm trying to figure out how some of the schools are even open and having class with the numbers of subs that they need. So big shout out to our substitutes for the work that you do. You're getting paid way less, and sometimes you're doing as much work, if not more work, than licensed teachers. So big shout out to you. But I do also think it's important that we have a critical conversation around where we are in education in this space with the critical teacher shortage. And, I think this is a great conversation and topic for us to have. And there's so many places that we can go. So where did you want to start off, Mr. Rodney?
Why do we have so many substitute teachers in the CCSD? And is this a way to camouflage the fact that so many licensed teachers are dissatisfied with their work environment that they're leaving? What is going on that the CCSD is A, having issues attracting teachers, B, holding on to the ones that they have, and is there a plan to remedy this?
Well, there was supposed to be a plan when CCSD went on all those trips. There were supposed to be recruiting trips for licensed teachers, but the word on the street is that allegedly they didn't really recruit numbers, the numbers that we need to fulfill our vacancies. Even though, we're really proud that the teachers have their historic payment that they're going to have their salaries that they deserve. Yes, finally, right? Because teachers were working for about a year without a contract. But what I noticed is that that's that, and I'm really happy about this, because sometimes you get what you want, then you're like, okay, I'll give you another chance. But the teachers are holding strong. They're like, no, we got this. We deserve this. You still need to go, leadership. But the reason that we need guest teachers, substitute teachers, are because there are so many shortages. And even when I'm looking at the shortages within the schools, some of those positions are not getting filled. And they've made it more competition now, because substitute teachers can get paid like up to $225 a day at some of the higher vacancy schools and the transformation network. So that's that can be competition. So you're going to probably pull some subs to those spaces because you can make more bang for your buck. But the reason that we need substitute teachers are because we don't have enough licensed teachers to fulfill the positions that are needed.
So as you're saying that, I was thinking, especially with you running for school board, one of the things that we deal with in the military is we have sort of matrices. We have a lot of goals that we have to meet. And then if you don't meet those goals, you have to give justification for why you didn't meet the goal. And depending on whether or not your justification was adequate or not, though they don't kick you out of service, you can get fired from a position of leadership, management, and/or supervision. And I was just thinking that if I had a basketball team and my sort of starters were leaving, and I had to keep bringing people from the bench to play, and then even they didn't stay, and I had to get more people from the bench, at some point, the ownership, and in the case of schools, that's parents and community, would want to say, hey, there's something going on with management, leadership, and we need to make some adjustments. Mm-hmm. Well, is there, and as a future school board trustee, should there be some type of matrices to say, if we fall below X number of licensed teachers, this is a hazard to good education, and this is a mark on the leadership? Is that something that's in place? And if it's not, would you consider putting something like that in place?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of conversations that come up with substitute teachers. And one is having a pathway for substitute teachers to become licensed. So that's a big deal. I know that there's I've talked to some people who are subs who are like, I should be able to get credit for all of this teaching that I'm doing, which is, you should be able to get some type of credit, but there's also that theory and understanding of education that's also needed as well. So what I do want to say is that I think that the school district leadership, and I'm trying to, because it's like there's some things in place, but I think that the collaboration efforts are minimized, if that makes sense. So, for example, there's a collaboration with the Clark County School District and UNLV to prepare paraprofessionals. Paraprofessionals are the individuals in schools who support teachers, typically students with disabilities or any other activities within the school they'll support. They support teachers. So there's a pathway for paraprofessionals to become licensed in about a year if they already have like some associate degree credits. So I would say that this program, I don't know the exact numbers that UNLV right now is graduating and getting into the classroom. I don't know the numbers. I know they have large groups. And I actually work with one of the groups, which are the Rodman Scholars. And that's a smaller group. And then there's a PPE group. And so I know that there are efforts happening, But in conversations that I'm having with community members who are really engaged in this work, that the collaboration is not fully collaborative. And there's more work that can be done. But my understanding from the community members who work in this space is that it's not effective because of leadership things that are happening in CCSD. And so for me, I think it is absolutely important that there are pathways. Unfortunately, I'm going to say this, substitute teachers, and I think that there's a continuum. So for example, for myself, I was born into education. My dad was a special education teacher, so I already knew what IEPs look like. I had a little bit of experience with IEPs. As a sub, I had a caseload of students before I even had a formal training. So I think there's a continuum of every person is different on the level of skill that they can bring to the education space. And it depends. Are you a person who's been a part of education? Do you have family members who are in education? Or are you a career changer? So a person who's a career changer and who's substitute teaching may have a different experience than a person who's really been in education, but just doesn't have that formal education. So I think there's a lot of different factors to look at. But my opinion is that you do need to have some type of formal education, whether that's a fast track program, and some of these fast track programs are 1 year. A traditional teacher education program is 4 years. So I personally am not concerned with which method you take, but I do believe there needs to be a method for substitute teachers to get that academic experience, that theory, to go along with that experience and kind of that practicum work that they have, because their teaching is a skill, and just because you're a smart person or you know how to, you're the best physicist in the world, doesn't mean that you know how to break that down so that students can understand it thoroughly. So I do think that there are some strategic methods that the Clark County School District could take to really hone in on ensuring that we have licensed teachers and providing pathways for substitute teachers, if they're interested, to become licensed and to get that development that they need. And the pathways are available now. They're available right now.
Yeah. So they're available, but apparently they're not working very well because we have a perennial shortage of licensed teachers in the CCSD. And it takes me back to how I initially started. So we have a process for people to go from a non-licensure position to a licensed position. But do we have any data on it? So for example, maybe there are 100 substitute teachers out there who would love to become licensed professionals. And they've let it be known. And even though there are these pathways for them to do it, there is no urgency, there is no guidance, there's no direction, there's no mandate to bring them in. So therefore, they're just kind of floating around out there on a hope and a prayer. And what I'm getting to is when I look at the success, and I'll take this again back to sports, right? If I have holes in my roster and I'm the coach of the team, and there are a bunch of good players out there that's wanting to join my team, but I'm still have holes in my starting lineup because I'm not doing what's necessary to bring those people onto my team. That is a problem on me. Mm-hmm. But if it's not written down someplace that this is one of my requirements, that there is a threshold standards for me to meet, then I can have holes in my roster into perpetuity. And it seems like perennially we have holes in our roster of licensed teachers, and which doesn't make me feel confident that those substitute teachers who are gaining the experience and who might want to become licensed teachers have a structure for them to move into those positions.
Yeah, I think you're making some great points. Shaquilla?
Yes, I want to address the issue of teachers going from a traditional teachers college versus the fast track. So I myself, my undergraduate degree is not in education. My undergraduate degree is in something else. So when I came out here, I went to an ARL, which is a alternative route to licensure. So we know we have programs like Teach for America, TFA, and then we also have TNTP, the New Teacher Project, also known as, maybe some people know as the Teaching Fellows, like in New York, it's called the New York Teaching Fellows. Now, when I was going through that program, and this is going towards why the district is lacking in some of this talent, and you know what you said, Kamilah, as far as teaching is a skill, right? So you can have the traditional route, which that's 4 years, right? That's a long time, and then you also have uh, that practicum where you have to teach for a certain amount of time unpaid, and you're doing the same thing a regular teacher's doing, you're just not getting paid. Now you can be doing that for four
Wait, wait,
years.
wait, wait. Well, hold on. So did you say that there's a route for licensure? It's an
Correct.
alternative route that people are doing the same function as other people who are getting paid, but while they're in that position, they're not getting paid?
So no, so when you go through the traditional route of going to an education program, you have to do an in-class, you're like a teacher's aide or a teacher, but you're not getting paid. That's like your practical hours.
You went out, Shaquilla.
Well, while we're waiting for her to come back on, I'm still stuck on the not getting paid and
Yeah.
doing the same function as people who are getting paid. I'm all for student, teacher, and all of those things. But if you're doing the act, I mean, that seems like just one of the problems with the district. If you're actually doing the job, you're putting in the time. How do you survive? How do you pay your rent when you're putting those classroom hours in to ascend, but you're not getting paid?
The hope is that you have a family member, and this is what the system is hoping, and this is why, and this is possibly for some one of the barriers on why some people are not able to do these type of programs unless there's funding attached to it. And maybe, you know, people may have to take out their student loans so that they can live to survive. But I remember I went to Chile this past summer, and I remember, and we took some pre-service teachers. So that's pre-service teachers are teachers who are learning to become teachers. They're learning the field. And one of the young ladies was talking about how she was trying to prepare for her practicum because she wouldn't be able to work during that time because she was going to have to be at practicum for the day as a teacher. So it really is a challenge and a struggle. And if you don't have family support, friend support, spousal support, then it would be hard for you to engage in the type of program like that unless you're going to be up for 24 hours, going to, you know, working at night. It's a challenging part of the process. And I definitely want to
Yeah.
get Shaquilla, you're back?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
go
know what
ahead.
happened.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry for, I
No,
had to
you're
grab
okay.
some headphones. Um, so going back to what you're saying, the young lady had to quit her job or do something in order for her to do her practicum. So when I was going through the ARL, and I've mentioned this to the general and Ronnie before, when I was going through the program, there were so many people who came from across the country to do this program. Okay, the program did not give them room and board. The program did not give them a stipend. The program barely gave them any resources as to how they were going to support themselves. That's number one. I came from New York, so I came from across the country as well. And by the end of the program, there were a handful of people who made it.
Oh, wow.
And the way they made us do things, and it was boulder dash what they had us do. For when we got into the classroom, none of it was applicable. Nothing, okay? So I say that because there were a lot of talented people who could have continued to be great educators, and that program dismissed them, either discouraged them, or because they couldn't have it, because you couldn't do the program and work successfully, okay? Because there was assignments you had to do. You also had to do a practical portion where you had to teach, and this was during the summer. You had to teach during the summer. You had the classroom time for the actual program. So it was all these different elements you had to fulfill. And then at the end, you also, of course, have to take the praxis or the CBES, which, if you know from a lot of different testimonials, the praxis by itself has knocked out a lot of people. Even though it's not their job, CCA didn't support nobody in doing this. The program barely supported anybody in doing this. And I'm not trying to not hold individuals accountable, but at the end of the day, if you want talented individuals, right? Teaching is a skill, but you have talented individuals who have passion, who want to be here. Like, this is not like, no one leaves someplace to go another place across the country just to be torn down. So there's so many factors that influences the talent pool. So many people could have been great teachers already that were turned away. There's even people moving here right now who have prior experience, who have teaching degrees, advanced degrees, and the district is turning them down, right? But we're not talking about that either. We're not talking about people who are already administrators who's getting turned out, people who have master's degrees who's already getting turned away by the district with no rhyme or reason. So I'm saying that because people have tried, right? A lot of people have tried to come in this district and do a service to our community, to the whole Clark County, but there are intentional barriers that are keeping qualified and certified individuals from putting students first and from putting employees first. And we need to hold those people within the district accountable for making it harder for us to get qualified individuals to raise our students up.
Right. So, I mean, and you're absolutely right, Shaquilla. You hit it right on point. Like, so we've already addressed some of the barriers, and it's like, now what is the leadership going to do? And they should know, I'm hoping, what some of these barriers are. One, the time frame. Some students are not able to not work. They may have to work double jobs. And that prevents people from getting in. And then Shaquilla was saying that CCSD is working against themselves. They're not hiring people that we need. True story. A young lady who had been in the district for over 17 years wanted to come back in the district, and they denied her application. This is a lady with higher education degrees in special education, and we need special education teachers like every day now. So she reached out to us. She did what she needed to do. Now they're going to be, looking to see what was going on, but hopefully she'll be teaching next year. But it's simple things like that. The application process takes a long time to get teachers in. And I'm talking people with the skill to help, the passion to help. Their system is really just all over the place. And I think that there's so much going on. And like I always say, and I'm going to continue to say, education is very complex. And I think that's why it's very important that when we have leaders who are over the specific departments, that they're able to really do the job in a way that is innovative, that steps outside of the box, and really disrupts the system and the traditions that we're so used to doing. And to me, that's why we have the same results that we have, because there's no really real innovation happening. And I do, just to go back to one of your topics, I do think there needs to be, if we know that there's a critical shortage in education, this should be like number one priority. Like number one priority should be around ensuring that every student has a effective, quality, licensed teacher who can teach their subject and do it effectively, because that is absolutely important. I know that there are schools across the country and even in our state that are trying to do what they can to fulfill the need. But I'm a firm believer, because of the stories that I hear from professionals who work in teacher education programs, that there is a lack of collaboration and a lack of listening to the people who have the ideas and actually moving forward with those ideas. I had a person say to me, Kamilah, we have the solution, or at least can help to impact this teacher shortage, but they're not listening to us. And we know that's true, because when you go to a school board meeting, if you've ever been, it just depends on who you are. When you're talking, sometimes the superintendent, he picks and chooses who he wants to listen to. No eye contact, no listening, pretend listening. I know when he's listening, because I know he uses some of my words that I put in presentations. So I'll be like, oh, so you're using that word that you ain't never used before. Okay. So it's like, that's the kind of climate and culture that we have. Even the teachers. I mean, I just sent the article today where the teacher was talking about coming back into the field. Like, she had left the field and was talking about coming back into the field. But teachers don't feel like they're being heard. Substitutes too. They don't feel like they're being heard. They have a lot of demands on them. And it's like, where do we go from here? Do we even think that this problem can be solved? I believe that we can solve these issues if we really take the time to really put everything on the table and do something that, well, first, do something. That's just the point thing. Do something.
Let's do something.
Something, that part. But Shaquille, I think you brought some very good points. And just to let everyone know, I am a product of an alternate route to licensing program, ARL. I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I did not go through a traditional program. And when I came to Las Vegas, I learned about ARL. When I came back to Vegas, I was like, oh, ARL? So it helped me to get into the space of teaching. And I think it is very beneficial. There are advantages and disadvantages. That's what I'm going to say.
So I'm going to go back to this. We have too many substitute teachers. And we have a bunch of vacancies for licensed teachers. But again, a substitute teacher gets paid whatever they get paid, and then licensed teachers get paid more than that. So that means that if you have a whole bunch of substitute teachers who are getting paid poquito, and that's happened for years upon years upon years, but you're budgeted for licensed teachers, there's a surplus of money someplace. And what Shaquila said about these people working, because anytime you say your person is working and not getting paid, somehow that sort of converts to slavery to me. But that's maybe just my perspective. But you have these people who are working without getting paid and are expected to perform adequately as a minimum for our children, when maybe they just came off of a 8-hour shift or a 12-hour shift at their other job that they have to work to pay the bills. Well, what about all this money over here from having all of these substitutes? Because we have a shortage of licensed teachers. There is money there. And if it's not, explain to me what's happening to the money that should be paid to licensed teachers. And then the other thing, I'm going to take it back to, these are perennial problems in this district. And is the leadership. How do you hold someone accountable for something if there's nothing that says this is their responsibility? And one of the things that I'm hoping when you get on the school board, Kamilah, is you take the experiences from these types of discussions, because I did not know about all of these alternative routes for ascension. But more importantly, I did not know that these were unpaid positions. Heck, no wonder the attrition rate is so high, because ultimately you have to feed your children.
Yeah, and I do want to, there's some comments on, where's the scissors? I don't know, girl, go get the scissors. There's some comments here. I want to shout out these people really quick. Our friends here. Pastor West, thank you for joining us. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. Is that Pastor Gordon? Pastor Gordon, hey, thank you for joining us. And then Anna answered one of your questions where you asked, where does the money go? And Anna said that the schools directly get that money. That's the carryover money. So the schools have that in their budget. Okay,
so they have it, but it's not obviously going to those teachers, because Shaquila said that, hey, I traveled across country and to go to this route, and other people who were in this route with me didn't make it. Some because they simply had to do something else to provide for themselves. What I'm seeing is anytime there is a barrier to achieve the goal that we need, then we have to eliminate the barrier. But we first have to identify the barrier. And the other great thing about having discussions like this, especially with people who are in the district, the subject matter experts, right, is as a community member and a citizen, as a taxpayer, I'm discovering that my money, however much or little it is, that's going towards the education of our greatest treasure, which is our children, is not being properly handled to take care of the job at hand, and that's to educate our children. We cannot even keep enough licensed teachers, and we have these arbitrary barriers of ascension. That is a problem, and I'm hoping when you get on the school board, that'll be something that you will take up and rectify.
Yeah, I actually do, something that I've been thinking about, but I do want to say, Anna said the HR has had terrible issues of hiring, and this is true. Y'all, they didn't hire me. I'm like, wait a second. I'm trying to be a substitute. I'm working on a PhD, and I had to go to the school board meeting and dust up smoke. Like, I'm trying to work one day a week, y'all. Really? And it was a big thing. It took weeks. And, it could have been some other factors. I'm going to the school board meetings, getting on their nerves, but no, y'all gonna hire me. And I was a teacher in the district before. But anywho, there's the point I was saying, agreeing with Anna, is that there have been HR issues for days. Anna, if you hear me, do we have a new HR? There's a new person, right? Because I thought we had one person, the new lady that came from Florida who got like a massive raise. And now there's someone different, because I don't see that person's name anymore. Am I correct? There's a new person over HR right now? But she'll get to that. But what I did want to say is that I do think that one of the trustee responsibilities is to hold the superintendent accountable. I cringe when I hear the leader of school, superintendent, like going through this back and forth battle about, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have money. And I'm thinking, isn't that your job to find that?
Where's the money from COVID? How about that? The general put it in the chat.
Oh, she did? They've sent out their transparency. In one of their last meetings, they have put out what they have done with that money. And they've kind of said, to me, it's very high level, like 20 million went to this space, but we don't see like the itemized breakdown of how it's been spent. So that's been one of my arguments. Show us how all of it has been spent, like every single piece of paper. I want to see the markers, the pens. I want to see all that, but we don't have
Show us the money.
Yeah, show us the money. I don't want a high level overview that 20 million went to this department. Well, how did that 20 million, how was that spent? And then I also think that the role of the superintendent, like it can be a part of the responsibility for hiring and recruitment to be really foundational. And one, what are you doing to ensure that we're recruiting effective teachers, or at least training teachers to become effective teachers? And what are the measurements? Like, do you need to have 20 a year, 30 a year, 100 a year? And how are you doing that? So I do agree with you, Mr. Rodney, that there needs to be some type of measure. And I would definitely be open to advocating for that because it's necessary. The shortage is real and teachers are continuing to leave. If you're looking at, I'm just reading teacher stories all the time and substitute guest teacher stories all the time. And these are real live people, sometimes who are having challenges. The pay is not what it should be, even though we've gotten the increase. I think that may be something that will help, but we'll see, because I do want to say that we have a fabulous pool here in our state. And I do think that we should, recruit as broad and wide as we can, but we also want to make sure that we, hone in on the skills of the people who are also from our state as well.
So there's a new initiative that Dr. Jara partnered with, where he's going to look from out of the country to bring people who are not Americans into the country to teach our children. Now, I'm thinking I would rather have a teacher from out of the country to educate our children than no teacher at all, as long as they're qualified, right? I don't know how good that's going, but my concern is, what about the people who are substituting, as an example now, many of them who are long-term subs, who have that practical experience within our district? Again, it goes back to, what is the ascension rate of those teachers who would like to become full-time teachers? What is the matrix? What is the goal? What is the standard? And how do you hold someone accountable who are not meeting it? First, you have to have the standard, right? And that way, then you can tell whether a person is meeting it or not. And this covers so many different issues, but this is one that's easy. We have X amount of holes, right? This means we need this many teachers to fill those holes. We have a pipeline from UNLV and with alternative licensure processes. And guess what? There's a bunch of them that if we got them, they could fill all the holes. But because we don't pay them, and they have to, and I'm just speculating here, then they have to drop out because they're not able to complete the process. Eliminate barriers to hire, eliminate barriers to ascension, and then let's see if those numbers can go up, and then make that a requirement when the leadership gets their annual report card, that you have some hard data to determine, did they meet their goals?
I saw Shaquilla's hand went up real quick.
Yes, I had a couple of comments. One, Nevada is a big place and Clark County is a big place. I just don't understand why we're continuing to allow people to come from different states when there's so many talented, qualified, well-educated people who are born, raised, at least residents of Las Vegas, that can be in positions to help us move forward. I don't understand why there's so many of these individuals coming from Florida. I just don't understand why our community isn't pushing for more saying this, right? I'm not from here, but I am part of this community. I'm very appalled at that. That's one. Two, why are we continuously bringing people from other countries to do something where we need the people in this country to be employed, to have quality education, to build better communities. How can you go to other countries when we can fulfill the need right here? So we need to be more engaged in that. It's no reason why we have so many people coming from other places. Las Vegas, Nevada, this state has more than enough qualified individuals that can be principals, teachers, paraprofessional support staff. Whatever we need, we got it here.
Yeah. So I do want to have a thought. I want to express my thoughts on that before we close. But the general has put some of our guests who are on Facebook Live, how they've been engaging with us on the live. So Anna says she's going to look into, well, first Anna said that I believe she would talk about the COVID funds are gone. She's going to look into the new hires. Pastor Gordon said there should be an accountability of finances. All ESSER and ARP funds had to be approved by the Nevada Department of Education. She asked for that report and that went nowhere. And then, and Shaquilla, in response to your question, why are people coming from Florida? Because that's JAR's stomping ground.
Oh yeah, I knew that already, but we gotta be a little bit. I could go more on that, but that's a little off the Facebook Live for that conversation.
Okay. And then let's see. Pastor Gordon said, "Why are we bringing in teachers from elsewhere? Is it because they can pay less?" Possibly. So what I do want to say is that I'm not against a global statewide or other statewide recruitment efforts. But that does not mean that we need to discount the people who are here. I think that the people who are here that live here should be the #1 priority. They're right here waiting. Like we're saying, substitutes are applying. Teachers with degrees are applying right now and are being, what is the word? And are not getting the jobs because the Clark County School District is one big monopoly of a school district. And what happens if you happen to lose your position because of maybe you got written up, that can impact you from getting back into the district. And that's one of the complaints that I have. Where's the checks and balances? If a teacher does one thing, makes one mistake, it is like a challenge for them to get back in the district. And that should not be so, because teachers, this is their careers. People are spending their lifetime, years to be educated in this field, to be told by the Clark County School District, oh, no, you can't come work here. And we have our charter schools, but there's not as many options as there are in the Clark County School District. And it can be detrimental to somebody if they're not able to get a job in one of the largest employers of schools, of employees in our state. So I'm not against it. I think it's, I believe that we should be global citizens and we should be a community, but I am against if it means that we're going to discount the people who are here already applying and I would like to know how many applications have been denied and why. Like how many applications have been denied, the demographics and the degree level. I would really like to know that before there's like this recruitment effort out of state. And then I'm also a proponent of
not just out of state, but out of country.
Out of the country. And then so that's where I was going to go then. If you're struggling, CCSD, to have a culture and a climate that values the people who are here, I really do feel like we're setting up people from other countries. We're setting them up for failure. Like I'm not saying not to come, but one of my favorite scholars is Bettina Love. She said something so powerful that I was like, whoa, it kind of took me back. And I was having a conversation with my advisor about the comment that she made. She basically said in her writing, she was writing about Black teachers. She was like, you know what? Just stop hiring us if your culture and climate is not conducive to who we are as a people. And I was like, wow, that's a very powerful statement. You know, she was like, just stop. If you're not going to appreciate who we are, you're not going to value who we are. We're going to have to jump through hoops to even be in this space. You're not going to have a cultural sensitivity that appreciates who we are and our uniqueness. You're not going to be inclusive. Then just stop bringing us here. You know, stop including us. And it was a real like pushback and a powerful statement because here we are. Most of us are like, get teachers in, let's get diversity. But the system is not willing. We have to fight the system to be willing to include all of us. So that's one thing that I always think about.
Too.
Yes, we
and
always
we
have to fight
to be there for our students who
Absolutely.
who look like us and have nowhere else to go if they don't see themselves represented in the classroom.
You know, Sister Kamilah, maybe a possibility of why some would want to bring in foreign educators, especially from depressed countries, is if you bring someone into this country on a work visa and those people are not citizens and their livelihood here depends on that job that they were brought in to do. Well, if you bring a foreigner in with that type of power over them, you can keep them in not the best work environment because those people are less likely to speak out because holding on to that job is their livelihood. And it's also what keeps them in this country. So that can give someone a level of control of that group on a different level than someone from down the street. So let's not think that this is by accident,
right.
Especially now that I understand how many teachers are actually in the pipeline, but they're not getting paid and they have these barriers to ascension. First thing should be done is remove the barriers of the people who are right here. Let them so that they can express their American freedom of speech when things are not going well versus bringing people in that you have a certain level of control that you can do with them as you will without having to deal with them rising up against you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Oh my goodness, it's 7:10.
Wow. Where does the time go?
Where does it go? I can't even, when I looked up, I was like, oh my goodness, it's already 7. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if you have any last words, Shaquilla?
Yes, same as last time, come and support Miss Kamilah and support your community. Don't talk about it, be about it. Sick of hearing people complain about stuff and you're not doing nothing, you're just talking. Same thing I tell you in person if you come up to me. We need to do better. The time is now.
Absolutely. The time is now, for sure. General, you have anything you want to say? Mr. Rodney, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I am here. It just took me a minute. I was still looking at the comments. And the only thing that I wanted to say was that this topic was really a hot one. And the reason I was looking at the comments is they're still coming in. So I know you go back in oftentimes and address those. So this really was a good conversation. And there are, even with all of the comments, even all the inquiries, there's still a lot of questions out there. What's going on with the funds? What's going on with teachers? What's going on with substitutes? So this was a hot topic that people are very concerned about.
And so to everyone out there that's listening and participating in Facebook, please keep those comments coming. We'll see if we can get some answers to you between now and next Tuesday, even with show suggestions, topics. And my closing remarks are going to be, this is why you need to have someone on the school board who has engagement with the people in the community, as well as the people who are in the education system, from the janitor to the superintendent, that knows what is and what isn't. And so Miss Kamilah Bywaters gives her time every week so that she can engage with you and learn, and so that you can engage with her and share and teach. This is critically important that we have those two ways of communication to help improve this fifth largest school district at the nation that perennially is on the bottom of academic achievement in the nation. If we keep doing things the way we have been doing it, we will continue to dredge the bottom. It is time to bring in new blood, new thought, and somebody who is willing to engage with the community that she would represent, and that would be Ms. Kamilah Bywaters.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you all, Shaquilla, the General, and Rodney, for taking the time out of your Tuesday as well. Shaquilla, you've been on here like the last 3 Tuesdays, so I don't take that lightly. It really is, it makes me just feel warm inside that you all would take the time and support me in this endeavor. I really do believe that I really do believe that our school system can change. I really do believe that. And people are like, do you really think this can change? I'm like, you know what? I am empowered enough to believe that we can change. I'm not going to say that it will take 30 days. It won't take, it may not take, it won't take a year, but we've taken decades to get ourselves in this situation. But I really do believe that with the right leadership in place, and with people who are willing, I'm always going to say this, to disrupt the madness that we're experiencing, I really do believe that we can change our educational system and ensure that our students have a quality education, also ensure that our teachers and the staff members who work within schools can have a culture and an environment that is conducive to their whole being. I really do believe we can do that as long as we have trustees who are willing to hold the superintendent accountable and to be forward thinking and to implement policy and agree on policy that's going to move our district forward. My name is Kamilah Bywaters. I look forward to serving our community continuously. I'm going to be here regardless. So I look forward to working with each of you in the community. Thank you to those of us, or to our friends who joined us on the live. We really do appreciate your engagement. Anna was in the chat, really just giving us a lot of her knowledge and skill. And thank you, Anna, for all the work that you do. Pastor West, thank you for the work that you do. Pastor Gordon, thank you for the work that you do. I think I saw you in the classroom too. I saw you in the classroom. So thank you for joining us out there. And I don't want to forget anybody. Elizabeth, thank you again. And to those who didn't comment, that's okay. We thank you for joining us and spending time with us. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.